We start in free agency where the Sentinels look to bounce back after a very up and down first year of existence for the Sentinels franchise. At the skill positions, there isn't really anything that catches my eye. To be honest, this free agency class is pretty weak in talent, and the only position group is strong at is at safety, a position we don't need at all. So I'm going to offer some players and we'll see who ends up signing with us and who around the league switches teams. After offering my deals, we end up getting a good haul of players. We patch up our O-line that struggled heavily last year while getting D tackles to help our run defense. Gardner Minshew should fill in as a good backup to whatever quarterback we end up drafting. Around the league, there was a lot of movement, most notably being Micah Hyde going to the Eagles, Grant Delpit to the Steelers, and Baker Mayfield going to Minnesota. And now it's time for the draft. Before that, let's look at the final mock draft. The Sentinels sit at the 8th pick, and we are projected to get the top middle linebacker, Jake Mills. The Sentinels mainly need a receiver, defensive ends, and of course a quarterback, so we're probably not going to get Jake Mills. As the draft begins, Zaire Blackwell goes off the board first, and then is the left tackle Travis Jennings to Arizona. So the Sentinels decide they want to make a trade, and after a massive trade that might have been a big overpay, the Orlando Sentinels now have the 3rd overall pick. With so many good talents to choose from, the Orlando Sentinels with their 3rd overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft will select quarterback Amani Edwards out of Oklahoma. He is unsurprisingly a hidden depth trait, and we hope he can be our franchise quarterback for years to come. Going further down the board, Maddox ends up going to the Rams to be the future replacement for Matthew Stafford, while the Bengals bulk up their secondary with the best free safety in the draft class, Jabari Rose. The first running back gets selected by the Carolina Panthers in the 2nd round. DeJounte has a lot on his shoulders, but he is going to play with the 2023 number 1 pick, Bryce Young. The 2nd running back goes off the board and it's going to Cleveland. Yes, Nick Chubb is still there, but as he gets up there in age, a more split backfield will help him. Azilis Porter's great receiving ability makes this Browns backfield very dynamic. The Sentinels are on the board with the 8th pick in the 2nd round. But after looking at the prospects, I think we can wait a little bit for people we want. So Orlando will actually trade down to get a later 2nd round pick. So remember, now we have 2 2nd round picks and a 3rd round pick. And the Eagles take the 2nd receiver off the board. So that's 2 receivers taken, and both of them are from USC. And now the receivers are getting picked heavy as the Saints get Jacoby Lee, the slot receiver out of Texas. So since all the receivers are getting taken, I think it's time we get one ourselves. This might be the hardest pick in the draft. Do we go Victor Cruz Jr. or Kalante Cleveland? Both play very similar and built very similar, but Cruz is more of a physical, tough catcher, while Cleveland is more of a speedster and route runner. Even with all the talk about him falling down the draft, I'm taking Kalante Cleveland. He sadly isn't hidden dev, but I still love his physicals, and as long as he can put it together in the NFL, he will be a sensational player. Victor Cruz ends up going to the high-powered offense and Super Bowl contending Detroit Lions team. It'll be interesting to see if Cruz or Cleveland will have the better career. With our last pick in the 2nd round, we will get the young Alabama tight end Tyrell Johnson Jr. The Sentinels clearly attempt to bulk up their skill position players, and I feel very confident they succeeded. Looking at our draft, we went from like 12 picks to 4, but it wasn't about the quantity, it was about the quality of our draft picks, and I really think we got some franchise players. Looking at other teams with a good draft, the Texans got KJ Walker with their top 5 pick, and he sits at a 78 overall already, which is a great sign for Houston. The Texans' division rival gets a round 1 quarterback. The Titans get a quarterback to build their future around. The Vikings get a 78 overall cornerback while also getting a new quarterback from Cincinnati. It's weird because they already signed Baker Mayfield, but we'll see how that plays out. The Bears take a massive gamble by taking Zaire Blackwell with the 1st pick, while also getting the number 1 ranked middle linebacker Jake Mills, so it's safe to say the Bears had a very good draft. The Colts also had a good draft by getting the top outside linebacker to bolster up their defense, and they got an explosive running back in Juke James. The Jets look to bring back their dominant defense by getting the number 1 strong safety prospect in Ali Raheem. The pairing of him with Sauce and DJ Reed might be a dominant secondary. The Lions end up getting JJ Atkins and Victor Cruz Jr. Once again, it'll be very interesting to see if Victor Cruz Jr. ends up being better than our own Kalante Cleveland. And looking at our team, we have a solid team with a good mix of young guys and veterans. We finally have some good depth and some good potential. The Sentinels don't have a superstar, but maybe in the future, the young guys can progress into superstars. I like our secondary right now and our receiving core, and don't forget we also have Donovan Wilson, who was a Pro Bowler last year, and Christian Gonzalez is back. Now let's take a quick look at some preseason footage to get an idea of how this team will be in the regular season debut next episode. The Orlando Sentinels take on the newly acquired Baker Mayfield-led Vikings. The first time we've ever seen Amani Edwards on NFL field will begin on a rainy night in Orlando. On second down on the first drive of Edwards' career, Amani barely gets the ball out and gets it to Nico Collins for a nice gain. Even though it's a rainy day, the run game is not working since the Vikings have one of the best run defenses in the league. Amani makes a difficult throw for a first down to Nico Collins again. And now Amani Edwards on play action gets it to Kalante Cleveland, their risky second round pick. Another first down throw on third down by Amani Edwards. The Sentinels have been running a lot of play action on their opening drive, and it's been working well as Amani Edwards gives a touchdown to Tyrell Johnson Jr., who makes a tough catch. TJJ will look to showcase his skills in the preseason to possibly become the tight end one full season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a rare carry and immediately fumbles. The Sentinels really only have 2 running backs on their team, so they'll definitely look to go out and get another backup running back in free agency. And looking at the box score, Amani Edwards had a good stat line in his limited minutes, while Baker also had a good stat line. Trey Lance played awful in his second year debut, so his chances of ever starting unless injuries is very low. And Robert Agnew, the rookie quarterback, also played good for the Vikings. Our running backs were completely awful, but to be fair, we were in the rain and the Vikings have a great run defense. Kalante Cleveland had an amazing day. He did play the entire game, but he still showed off his upside. Nico Collins and Tyrell Johnson Jr. played very well in their 1 quarter of playing time. And that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to make a player, click the link in the description to join the Discord so you can be in the next draft class. I'll see y'all guys next time. Peace.